Hey, this is Daniel Wilson, and this is my first video. The things I plan on discussing in these videos are sports topics, national, and sometimes from the Philadelphia perspective, as I'm from the Philly area, and I hope you like it. So let's start with some basketball and my thoughts on the blockbuster deal made between the Sixers and the New Orleans Pelicans during Thursday night's draft. For those of you who don't already know or just using this as a refresher, the Sixers gave away their second round pick and Drew Holiday for a guaranteed 1 through 5 overall pick in next year's draft, as well as center Nerlens Noel out of the University of Kentucky, who the Pelicans had drafted just minutes before the trade had been released. Personally, I can't say I'm a huge fan of the deal because I feel like we gave away a player who isn't at the ability who is at the ability of a first rounder, and instead of keeping him, the Sixers decided to give him away, and now are most likely going to be forced to select a point guard once that early first round selection rolls around just about a year from now. And of course, you never know what exactly you're going to get when you draft someone. But the fact of the matter is, you know exactly how good Drew Holiday was. That being said, as much as I'm not a huge fan of the trade, I do think it was a good sign for the future of the Sixers team, considering the GM, Sam Hinkie, is still new and hasn't even been the general manager for a regular season yet, but has still already shown in his young career that he's not going to be afraid to make deals, and that everyone, especially passionate fans and media, aren't necessarily going to agree with. So as much as I could sit here and rant all day about how the deal stunk and maybe hurt the Sixers, I applaud the new Sixers GM for quickly feeling comfortable as well as already establishing himself as an aggressive deal maker. All right, so that does it for that. All right, now I'm going to start my second topic, which is how the situation of the Aaron Hernandez story and the alarming stat the NFL released this week should be handled. For those who didn't hear, once former Patriots tight end Aaron Hernandez was officially charged with the murder of Odin Lloyd, the NFL came out with a statistic that showed since the year 2000, a total of 640 NFL players have been arrested, a very alarming rate with an average of over 49 NFL arrests per year. Now, I'm not exactly sure what could be done, but someone, whether it be Roger Goodell changing some sort of rule regarding returning to the league after certain types of crimes, or someone on all the different teams would somehow monitor this more closely. Somehow, the NFL crime rate needs to be lowered, or else this horrible statistic will unfortunately continue to evolve. The last topic I'm going to discuss here is the current state of the Philadelphia Phillies and how they should play out the remainder of the season. All right, first let's recap. The Phillies currently stand in third place in the National League East, holding a 39-43 record, trailing Nationals by 2.5 games, as well as the division-leading Braves by 8.5. So the major question for the Phils is whether they should become buyers or sellers at the trade deadline. And I'm not going to give an answer. I'm going to give an answer that I haven't heard many people say to this point, and that is that the Phillies should wait and see rather than declaring what they want to do now. The reason for this is while I try and stay optimistic about the season, I fully understand that buying at the deadline may come back and hurt this team in the long run. However, I don't think they should immediately declare sellers either, since just about anyone who has watched baseball over the past couple of years know that just about any good team, good or bad, is certainly capable of going on any sort of ridiculous streak at just about any point of the season. So while I think the Phillies will eventually become sellers, if I'm Ruben Amaro, the last thing I want to do is jump the gun on my deadline status. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. As far as the end of the season goes, let's assume for a second that the Phillies fail to make the playoffs for the second consecutive season. The question then becomes, do you fire Charlie Manuel? And while I've absolutely come to love Charlie for everything he's done, including managing that elusive 2008 World Series championship, unfortunately at this point, I would have to come back to reality and just realize that maybe the historic Charlie era could be coming to an end. While I would absolutely hate to see him leave, the absolute worst thing that could happen to the Phillies would be doing exactly what the Philadelphia Eagles just about a year or two ago with former head coach Andy Reid. And that would be leaving a long-time successful coach, or manager in this instance, in a position too long to the point where the team is never going to be good again until they start hearing a new voice. And as much as I love to believe that isn't all true, I think that might be exactly what is starting to happen with this Phillies team. But again, like anything, we're just going to have to wait and see how it plays out. So that concludes the video. If you like what you saw here today, be sure to subscribe as well as follow me on Twitter at DW Sports. I'll follow you back. And be sure to spread the word in addition to like my Facebook page, DW Sports, where this and all future videos will be posted. I'm Daniel Wilson, and this has been the very first edition of DW Sports.